This video is brought to you by my new album entitled Dougal's Treats. It's full of hummable melodies, bluesy riffs and the occasional bit of virtuoso flashy stuff as well. If you enjoy bluesy rock guitar with memorable tunes and solos that wail like a banshee, then check out the links in the description. The premium version includes all of the tabs for each tune, videos and jam tracks as well. Thanks for listening. Now on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Every now and again, as technology advances and new products come into the marketplace, I do like to do a bit of an updated list on what gear I would recommend for the beginner guitarist. So if you are about to become a beginner guitarist, or if you're the parent of someone who's about to become a beginner guitarist, these recommendations might be worth checking out. The one thing I would say is if you are in that position, for the love of God, don't go and get one of those starter packages which has the guitar, the amp, the lead, the plectrum, the strap and all that sort of stuff. Usually because the amplifier that comes in those packages is absolutely dreadful for the most part, and nothing is going to put off a beginner more than a bad sound. Perhaps a badly playing guitar that's not easy to play, but even if the guitar is easy to play, if the sound that's coming out of that little tinny speaker isn't anything like the sounds that the newbie guitarist in question is wanting to emulate coming from their favourite recordings, then that can be massively off-putting. So, without further ado, here are my recommendations. Okay, straight out of the traps here, this is the cheapest of the two guitars we're going to be looking at. From Anderton's, the East Coast ST1 electric guitar in vintage white with rosewood fretboard. Both of the guitars I've chosen here are what you would call S-types, because even though I'm not really a Strat guy myself, don't mind them, but they're not sort of the centre of my universe. For a beginner, they do, I think, offer the best range of tones, especially for kind of getting a nice sound on those strummy cowboy chords, and a Strat will still kind of cut the mustard, or a Strat style guitar I should say, will still cut the mustard for the crunchy, dirty stuff. And it is, I have to say, an attractive looking guitar. I have played one of these. One of my students has got one, and it is the guitar you expect for £99. Well, it's kind of on a par with those Squier, not the Bullet series, because the Sonic series, which are a little bit more expensive because they are, part of the Fender family. But this is a perfectly good guitar to get a beginner off the starting blocks, I would say. If you're wanting something a little bit more, shall we say, boutique feeling, if not boutique in price, then I can very much vouch for the Jet Guitars GS300. You're getting, amongst other things, a roasted maple neck. Let's have a look at some pictures there. Dear me, that is an attractive looking guitar, but then again, my fetish for tortoiseshell pickguards. It's well documented. Jet guitars are, if you've never played one, play one. The necks on them feel like they've come from some boutique custom shop. Rolled fretboard edges, just perfectly playable, comfortable guitars. Punch well above their weight. And this, I'm thinking, for the extra 70 quid that you'd pay for this one, you're getting more than 70 quid's worth of upgrades, I would say. The pickups on these are ceramic, but then again they are on the East Coast one as well, I believe. But having played one of these guitars and owned one briefly, they don't have that muddy ceramic kind of thing. They've got that kind of Alnico sparkle to them. Probably worth upgrading at some point, the pots and switches and so on. But other than that, you're getting, it's a good modding platform, as I say, but you're getting a really rather fantastic guitar straight out the traps if you've got the extra 70 quid to spend. Now, in terms of something to plug it into, in terms of simplicity, you can't really go far wrong with the old Blackstar Fly 3. It's never going to convince you that you're playing through, one of Alexander Dumble's finest creations, or anything remotely close to that, but it does represent a huge step change, an increase in quality, I think, from the typical, 15 watt or 5 watt little solid state practice amp that comes as part of some beginner guitar package. Those things usually just sound terrible in my experience. This, on the other hand, sounds really rather good. It's got a 3-inch speaker, I think. Is it 3-inch? I'm not sure. But through that speaker, it produces a credible tone. Through headphones, it sounds, really rather good. The only downside I have with this amp, and I reviewed one years ago, is that, you've got to make sure you've got either a power supply for it or, plenty of batteries. I would much prefer this if it came with a USB port and an onboard rechargeable battery. But for £59, if you go for the East Coast guitar, £99, and this, you can be, making music for a little bit over 150 quid, which is ridiculously good value. So, yeah. Let's have a look and see what the other option for the amplifier is. Everybody talks about Harley Benton guitars. I've played many of them myself, own many of them, but what not many people, I've never seen many reviews of their amplifiers. And again, experience here from one of my students bringing this into the lesson, the Harley Benton Jam Box. It's got just, I would say, the right amount of sophistication. You can see it's kind of got a little bit of the Boss Katana vibe going on with the different types of amp available. And, clean, JC clean. Well, a beginner might not know that JC stands for Jazz Chorus, but you're going to know what clean means. Tube Screamer, Blues, Crunch, they're not these cryptic titles where it says, Brit 800 or, kind of Brit Class A or, California Duo or something like that, all of these things where it means a Marshall JCM 800, or it means a Vox AC30, or it means a Fender Twin Reverb, but that because you kind of you're an experienced guitar player and you kind of get the references that making. This is just a little bit more straightforward. You can try out, your delays. I don't think you can have delay and reverb on here, but, either or is usually good enough. And you can see which sort of pedals you might want to investigate in the future. Do you like the chorus, or do you prefer the flanger or the phaser, or maybe the tremolo? You've got a built-in drum machine here with a number of different patterns, and you can adjust the volume of that and everything. You can also, let's scroll to the back here, you can plug in your phone or MP3 player. I don't think there's any Bluetooth on this, but hey, buy a cable and plug in your headphones, and you can jam and you can make music and you can have fun, which is what it's supposed to be all about. Yeah, great little amp that. As I said, let's just have a little bit of a look at some of the details. Yeah, what have we got here? Yeah, 36 rhythm patterns, and you can adjust the tempo and everything. Yeah, so that's everything. Now, most of these guitars, when you buy them, these budget guitars, they come with that little plastic bag in the box, don't they? And the plastic bag's got your Allen key adjusters in for your truss rod and your bridge saddles, and you've also got often a strap. So that's why I'm not including a strap in the equation here, and a cable. It's not the best cable that you're ever going to have, and at some point it's probably going to fail. So, one of these, £6 for a 3-meter instrument cable from PMT. I'll put a link to all of these bits and pieces down in the description. Well worth the investment in getting a decent cable, so you can use that cheap plasticky kind of noisy crackly one that came with your budget guitar as a spare. So there you go. Those are the 5 recommendations, or 5 choices, I would say. You've got the East Coast ST1 or the Jet JS300 as a guitar. You've got the Black Star Fly 3 or the Harley Benton HB15 GXD jam box as your amplifier, and then get yourself a reasonably good cable as well. 3 meters is going to be plenty long enough for the bedroom guitarist, I would say. And there you go, there's your choices, and those are my recommendations. As you probably gathered, I have experience of checking them all out myself, and they all measure up really rather well. The one thing that you may have noticed I didn't include on that list is any form of tuner, clip-on headstock tuner, that sort of thing. And the reason is you don't need to spend money on something of that nature. Everybody these days, pretty much everybody anyway, carries one of these around in the pocket all the time, some kind of smartphone, and there are countless free apps that you can use to tune your guitar with. The one that I used to recommend was called Guitar Tuner by Musician, tuner as in the fish, but that's got a little bit kind of putting stuff behind a paywall and that kind of thing. The one that I recommend now is let me have a look, it's the Fender one. Yeah, it's just called Fender Tune. Just does the job. It's, it easily picks up the sound of an unplugged electric guitar. It'll tune up. It's just, it does the job without any fuss and works. So, you don't need to spend money on a tuner. Just get that Fender Tune app on your phone and you're good to go. If I could squeeze in a 6th item on a top 5 list, then we'll use the old dodge of calling it an honourable mention. I would say get yourself a selection pack of different plectrums like this. Plectrums come in an infinite number of different shapes, sizes, thicknesses, stiffnesses, and somewhere there will be the right one for you. Most beginners find it a little bit awkward using a plectrum to begin with, and there is one chap who shall remain nameless that I'm working with and giving lessons to, who as a beginner years ago he just couldn't get on with a pick, and he just kind of didn't ever get into the habit of using one. And now, as a more kind of experienced and advanced player, he's coming up against a bit of a brick wall where there are certain things he can't play because his thumb only downstroke technique is rather limiting. And I know people always talk about, oh, Jeff Beck and oh, Mark Knopfler, they didn't use picks. Well, no, they don't use picks, or didn't in Jeff's case. Well, yes, but at some point they made a conscious decision to stop using a pick, because of the way their playing style was developing and so on. It wasn't like that they couldn't use one from the outset. So learn to use one, and then at some point in the future, if you find that it's not for you, then make that conscious and informed choice rather than just shying away from it from the outset because you haven't found the right pick for you. Somewhere in a selection pack like that, there will be the right one for you. So that's what I would say about that. And that is the video for today, folks. Hope you've found that useful and informative, and if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not drop me a like as well while you're at it. Don't forget the live stream every Friday, 5 PM UK time, where we basically just have a beer and a chat. It's a great way to kick off a weekend, I think, and I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.